Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Nathaniel Thoreson, CMO with DropChain. How you doing today, Nate?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
It's great to have you on. A little bit excited to learn what you guys are doing there at DropChain, and well, let's kick it off with that. In your own words, can you tell us a little bit more, Nate?
Sure, absolutely. So I think it's easiest to start at the problem. So if you've been on the internet really for the last 5 years, you know that Web3 and crypto is certainly having a moment right now. And a lot of people, me included, believe that Web3 is going to be the next iteration of the internet. The problem being is that actually building anything useful for Web3 is really, really hard to do. Even if you're a traditional developer, trying to learn the skills to build smart contracts and get into the Web3 space is really difficult. And if you don't know how to code at all, me included, building a Web3 product is pretty much impossible. So what DropChain created was a set of tools that allows anybody to create a Web3 or crypto project without any specialized knowledge. So if you're a developer, you can use our API or SDK to add in all of the blockchain functionality that you would need with just a couple lines of code. Or if you can't code at all, you can use DropChain's tools to build completely no-code Web3 apps. So really, our ultimate goal is to onboard the next 1 million Web3 builders and have them onboard the next 1 billion Web3 end users. And we're doing that by providing a suite of tools so anybody can build a Web3 application.
That's awesome to hear, right? Like you mentioned, I think that's the future going into the upcoming years. So great that you guys are doing that. And you did mention some problems there. So would it be fair to say that some of the key problems just the ease of use for people that are not so educated in the developing world?
Yeah, exactly. And it actually goes a little bit further than that. So to your point about developers, yes, being a Web3 developer is super duper hard. If you look at the numbers, there are something like 30,000 traditional developer, or sorry, 30 million traditional developers out there in the world right now, whereas the number of Web3 developers is something like 25,000. So that is just a very, very small group of people that can actually develop Web3 apps. But on the user side of things, if you've ever used a Web3 product, you know it's very difficult to use. So our solution allows anybody to sign up to those products by signing in with Google or Apple or Facebook instead of having to connect a wallet. If you've ever used MetaMask or anything like that, you know how difficult it can be. So our tools make it very easy for developers to start building products, and then onboarding users is super easy for them as well.
Awesome, great to hear that. So then, is there a vertical segment? Is there an ideal ICP for DropChain?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Web3 ecosystem is going in a lot of different directions. You see a lot of people talking about DeFi and real estate finance and all of these different applications that Web3 can be put towards. So as a infrastructure company, we don't necessarily try to say where this technological revolution is going. We just want to enable people to use their creativity to build out really whatever they want. That being said, the areas that we have become the most proficient in and the areas where most people are building right now is primarily in gaming, as well as NFTs and digital ownership for those games. So that's a really big piece. And then on the enterprise side, loyalty programs are looking like a really popular use case for Web3. And both of those use cases can be solved through DropChain. So we try not to prescribe too much on what somebody should be building with our tools. We just want to enable them. But gaming and those enterprise loyalty programs are really where it seems like the most popular demand is coming from.
Okay, awesome to hear that. And so that way, our listeners who are tuned in can go ahead and visit you guys. You could guys visit them at dropchain.network. What role does the website play for any client acquisition?
Well, without a website, our business and really any business wouldn't be in business for very long. It's everything. I mean, our growth strategy is very content driven, and SEO is a huge part of that. And then, of course, once they actually get on the website, that needs to be, the enticing hook to get somebody to sign up to your product, buy something, or do whatever you want them to do. So like many of your listeners, I'm sure that they would agree that our website is everything. It's a single source of truth for our users, for our partners, and everybody that we work with. So I would say our website is probably, other than maybe our actual core API, our website is probably the most important function for the business's growth.
I would agree with you on that. And is there any tools or tips or methods that you would recommend to our listeners as far as some website lead generation?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I am a huge believer in lead magnets. If you aren't familiar with the term, basically, if I come to a website and I want to get a free piece of content or a checklist or something like that, lead magnets are a fantastic way to provide value up front to your visitors while also getting them into a drip campaign. So user shows up, they see, ooh, this checklist on how to build a Web3 app or how to market a Web3 app. They enter in their email, and then just like that, they're part of our email drip campaign. And I am a firm believer in email. Yes, it still works. The ROI is over 4,000% on average. So I would say definitely invest in lead magnets. Another area that I would highly recommend in investing in is your testing process. So what we use, our infrastructure is all built around agility. So if we come to a new realization or realize that a piece of messaging isn't working, we need to change things very quickly. So we chose Webflow to build our website. It's my personal favorite website builder, and it's really easy for anybody to come in, anybody on our team to come in and make changes very quickly. But then also the testing aspect of it. We use a tool called VWO. Google Optimize is no longer around anymore, RIP. But it's a really good way to test out different marketing messages and ultimately get to product market fit or messaging market fit, really, with your specific product. So those are two areas that I would definitely look at in investing: is lead magnets to provide value upfront and boost up your sales funnel. And then second would be to invest really heavily in testing, because as marketers, we're all smart. We like to think we know what people will hear, but until we get the data, everything is just speculation. So find the data as quickly as you can.
Definitely awesome. Great advice there. Thank you so much for that, Nate. So let's switch gears a little bit, Nate, and let's jump into our next section here, which is our rapid fire question round. Are you ready for them?
I am. Let's do it.
All right. First up is what is the last book that you read?
The last book that I read, well, I'll cheat a little bit. Right now, I'm rereading The Lean Startup. And if you haven't read it, whether you're a developer or a builder or a marketer, you have to read it. The Lean Startup, fantastic book. It has changed the way I look at marketing. So do it if you haven't.
Definitely. Okay, perfect. Next is you being the CMO there for DropChain. What are some key tasks you focus on for the marketing strategy there at DropChain?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that it really comes down to two main things, is content creation and testing. Content creation through a bunch of different channels for sure, but primarily being on social media because we're in the crypto and Web3 space, people spend a lot of time on Twitter, Reddit, and Discord. So community building in those avenues is really, really important. And then I spend a ton of time testing. So if I publish a blog, I want to know whether that blog is going to push the needle forward in comparison to any of our other messaging. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we invest very heavily in our A/B testing, both on the product side, but on the marketing side as well.
Really important. All right, awesome. Next up is, what is one single thing then that DropChain is focused on at the moment the most?
Right now, I would probably say it's expanding our enterprise solutions. Building blockchain into your business is typically very difficult and very expensive. And we actually just launched a couple of features that allow a business to spin up a loyalty program in literally just a couple of clicks. So that's an area that we're focusing really heavy right now in that small to medium-sized businesses.
Okay, awesome to hear that. Now, if there would be no boundaries in technology, Nate, what would what would you want in order for your life as a marketer to get a little bit better?
You know, in the last couple of years, data has gotten better and better and better, but there are still some severe limitations with it. And like a lot of your listeners, I'm sure you're worried and uncertain about what the world is going to look like post cookies, which, you know, we'll see. But if I could snap my fingers right now, it would be to have extreme deep detail on what every user is doing on our website, and in our all of our marketing collateral. I would love to have that kind of omnipotent view of all of our data.
Okay, perfect. I love that. Next is if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Honestly, probably content creation. I know how important it is for a human to be involved in content creation, but as a startup, you know that volume is the most important thing and staying consistent with it. So if I could automate that away, or if I could, you know, have somebody take over that area, I definitely would. But having a human involved is just too important at this point.
I would agree totally with that. And well, lastly, Nate, I mean, you do have a lot of experience, right, from being with Microsoft now into DropChain. But what are if you could go back in time and restart your career as a marketer, what would you tell yourself?
I think the approach that I took was probably pretty smart. But I would go back and tell myself and reinforce those things. I think as a marketer, there's kind of two avenues you can go down. You can either specialize in something really specific, like design, data analytics, website creation, or whatever, or you can go the generalist approach. There's benefits to both. If you go the specialized approach, you will be the best person in the market at whatever that is. Or if you go the generalist approach, that opens up a lot of doors to CMO positions, manager positions, positions where you're overseeing, you know, the more specialized people. So I think the first thing to do is kind of decide what you want to do. If you want to go specialized, great. If you want to go generalized, great. But I do think that it's important for marketers starting that just graduated college that you need to set yourself apart by getting good at one particular skill. Marketing degrees are fantastic for giving you a super high level general view of what marketing, communication, and advertising is all about. But thousands of other people got the exact same education you did. So you need to do something to make yourself stand out in the market. My first area that I got into and started to get proficient at was graphic design. And that was a compelling enough thing where I was able to get my first jobs by saying, yes, I am a generalist, but I have this one particular skill that makes me better suited for this position over, you know, the other recent graduates. So I would say if you're coming out of school, figure out which fork you want to go down, but either way, try to get one trait or one skill that sets you apart from the other graduates that you're, you know, walking out with.
Definitely some great advice there. Totally would agree with you, right? I think marketing over the years has obviously evolved in with technology and it's just growing and growing and growing. And you know, you could definitely specialize in something. So great advice there for our listeners there, Nate. And well, Nate, we are coming to the end of the show with us today, but I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about DropChain?
Sure. You can build a Web3 app without having to know anything. So if you've been in crypto, if you've been in Web3 for a long time and you want to be more of an active participant in it, start to build an app. It's way easier than you think with DropChain. Highly encourage you to go to our website, check it out. Sign up for a free account and then connect with us in Discord if you would like to get help directly from me and my co-founder and a whole bunch of other developers who are making some cool products. So if you're interested, check it out.
Definitely, you guys heard it there. You can check them out at dropchain.network. Create user-friendly Web3 products. Nate, thank you so much for being on with us today. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Nate.
Thank you.